Would you believe me if I told you that a separation in your marriage could actually save your marriage? That a time apart from one another could actually make you better? You could actually have the healthy relationship that you dreamed of, that you anticipated when you first got married. But right now, you're in a place of pain, perhaps, of frustration, of angst, of confusion, and you're wondering, what should I do? If that's you, this video is just for you. Maybe you've never been here. You think, man, this guy is really bugging. He's tripping. Who tells people to get separated so they can save their marriage? But I'm telling you, it actually can save your marriage and your relationship. And so I want you to stay put, stay tuned, because you might need to share this with somebody else who's going through it in their marriage. And I want to give you a constructive framework, if you will, for how a separation could actually help and fix your marriage. I'm Rod Hairston. I am a relationships expert and an executive marriage coach. I work with people who are committed to success, people who really want to accomplish great things in the world. They don't play small, they play big, but they also have very, very big challenges when it comes to love and relationships and marriages in particular. And so, my job, my joy, really, it's not even a job. But when you're doing what you love, it's not work. My joy is to serve these couples so powerfully, so well, that they begin to see all of the beauty in their marriage and relationship, and they begin to make progress. They start healing things that have been hurting for a long time. They start seeing the beauty in the person that they fell in love with. They start bouncing back from betrayal. All sorts of crazy good stuff begins to happen when we work together. And I want to share with you some of the things that I share with them, because you might be in a place, as I mentioned, where you are contemplating, like, should I stay in this marriage? Should I go? What do I do? Let's talk about the power of separation, the power of time away from one another, and what that could look like, should look like, in order for this separation to actually help your marriage relationship. Now, I'm a marriage coach, relationships coach. I help people work on their connection. And you're like, why are you talking about disconnecting? Stay with me. I'm going somewhere, I promise you. So this whole notion of separation, it is not about destruction, it's about reconciliation. And you got to get that first, because if you don't get that part, you'll miss everything else that I'm going to share with you in this video. Separation is about reconciliation. It's about fixing what's broken. It's about restoring what's valuable. It's about two people who were in different spaces, even though they were in the same space, disconnecting so that they can sort out and put it back together. Here's some powerful definitions of this idea of reconciliation. It means to remove, to release, to be removed, to depart, and to set free, and to deliver. The idea is that setting it free, setting it apart, gives it an opportunity to be delivered back, to be delivered well, to be fixed. It's to remove some stuff that was in the relationship that was not helpful to the relationship. Another definition means to return to favor with, to be reconciled to someone else. It means to return to a favorite relationship, right? Because when marriages and relationships go awry, when toxic things start to take over, you are trying to figure out, who am I with? And they might be trying to figure out, who am I with? Because the pain is hitting and the confusion is taking over, and you're not sure how and if this can work. Um, the Bible says something very powerful. It says, "For when we were enemies, we were reconciled to God through the death of His Son. Much more, having been reconciled, we shall be saved by His life." He says God put His Son through a season of painful separation from us when He took on all the sins of the world. And He's like, God, you turned your back on me. I'm taking on all this grief from people. And it was that thing, that very separation, that positioned us to be reconciled, made right with God. So I believe this whole notion can save your marriage. You don't want to throw away your marriage. You spent too much time, too much energy falling in love, too much money on the wedding. You got kids involved. Why would you want to throw away something so precious and so powerful? You could actually save it through a time of separation. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm telling you what could be possible. So stay with me. The Bible says something powerful as well. How can two walk together except they be agreed, they be in agreement? When there's so much contention and disagreement, it's hard to walk together. So we got this relationship we call marriage. It is a powerful and beautiful covenantal. That word covenant simply means agreement. It's a powerful relationship that's meant to help two people grow and flourish and experience love and to be productive in their lives. And if by chance they experience the joy of having kids, they build a family, right? So all of this is a part of what's supposed to happen. But so often, what's happening in our marriages is there are these very toxic exchanges. Somebody feels unseen, somebody feels unheard. There can be very painful behavior patterns that show up in the marriage, what I call oftentimes coping strategies. Sometimes it's just bad ways of being. But after a while, they start taking over, and one person begins to feel unsafe, and there's a constant sense of not feeling respected, not feeling valued, not feeling cherished. There can be infidelity in the relationship, and that only makes a bad thing horrible. Infidelity, there can be the wrecking of finances. If you can't be trusted with money, it's hard to trust within the relationship of marriage because money is vital to our sustaining in life. And so when all of these sort of offenses, these toxic behaviors begin to take over, it could be time for a separation. Sometimes I've seen people who, because they feel so disrespected, they don't feel heard. Nothing they say matters, nothing they say goes. They sort of feel pushed to the corners in their marriage relationship and they don't know what to do. And it triggers all sorts of childhood pain in them that sometimes their husband or wife doesn't respect, doesn't regard, and they just keep going and rolling and steamrolling. And I raised the question, do you guys possibly need a time of separation? The separation, remember, is about reconciliation. I'm not in the business of telling people they need to throw away their cherished relationship, this cherished marriage. I want to help them restore it. I want to help them have it the way it's supposed to be. I want to help them enjoy this relationship. So this is where separation comes into place. Now, let me just say, when there's abuse, whether that's physical abuse, emotional abuse, where there is addiction, like whether it's drugs or alcohol or gambling or sex or porn, and it's disrupting any idea or any ability to have a mutual and healthy exchange in the relationship called marriage, or any other relationship for that matter, then something's got to be done. Because if you keep saying the same thing and expecting something different, they call that the definition of insanity. If somebody keeps telling you they're going to change, they're going to fix it, they're going to stop, and nothing changes, then you got to wake up and say, hold up, this is not working. So often, when we continue to stay in environments that are unhealthy for us, we become unhealthy. Yeah, we become unhealthy. And so it's kind of that idea of you might have to go and put on your oxygen mask first. And oftentimes there are kids in the mix. Are y'all tracking with me? Are y'all getting this? There are kids in the mix. And if you stay in the toxicity of the unhealthy marriage, your kids are now going to be impacted. But statistics say that and it's clear that when kids are raised in an environment where both parents are there, both parents are healthy, both parents are engaged, both parents love and care for one another, the children are actually healthier for a lifetime. They do better in school, they do better relationally, they do better emotionally. So all of this is at stake. And so that's why people give up on their marriages. That's why people are tempted to walk away, because things become so difficult, so toxic, so unhealthy that it's just not sustainable. It's just not a good option to stay, because everyone leaves the scene of the pain. Anybody who's healthy knows that if I'm getting hurt here, I got to get somewhere else. And it makes sense. But it doesn't necessarily mean that your marriage can't be restored. And this is the thing I really want to emphasize, because divorce is so easy to come by. There are a gazillion lawyers out there who will help you get the divorce. So few of them will ever help you try to actually work on the marriage and get healthy. But I'm a big believer in this truth: nothing is impossible with God. Nothing's impossible with God. Is it hard? Does it take hard work? Absolutely. Does it mean every single marriage can be reconciled, can be put back together? Not necessarily. I'm a realist too. But I believe a lot more marriages can have great experiences. You can feel good coming home. You can feel love coming home. You can be excited to come home. There can be more of those than I think we absolutely realize. All right, so why could a separation be the best possible option for you? Let me give you a few reasons. Um, One, because for your emotional or even physical safety, like, you got to get to a place where you feel safe, where you feel emotionally safe. Like, if there's been infidelity, if there's been constant gaslighting, if there's been, you know, emotional abuse, cussing at you, putting you down, denigrating you, then you got to get somewhere where you can be emotionally safe. You cannot heal in a place where you're not emotionally safe. And so a separation could be your best option. Sometimes people who um, have been embracing bad behaviors won't confront their failures and their patterns until there's the possibility that their spouse could be leaving. Yeah, I'm going to change. I'm going to change. I know I need to fix this. I know. Sometimes they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not that bad to me. They just, like, they won't even confront it. They won't even look at it. And so, unless there is some motivation for them to get together, change, behave differently in the marriage, the relationship, they may never do it without there being a separation. I've seen couples where once one spouse decides, listen, I'm going to live with my parents, or I'm going to get a separate apartment or a separate house because I'm not living this way, all of a sudden their attention is raised, because now there's a new price to pay, a price of loneliness, a price of the family breaking up, or the price of the kids not being there. There's a new price to pay. And I like to say that people who pay a price usually pay attention. They don't always pay attention, but they often pay attention when that price is high enough. And added to that price, let me just add pain. Sometimes the people who are creating the most havoc in the relationship need to experience the pain of being alone, the pain of saying, oh, this person actually would rather be healthy than to be with me unhealthy. And all of a sudden, that pain can trigger something in them to say, I got to get myself together. Because pain is one of the most powerful motivators for change. Most people won't change until there's enough pain to make them. You know, some people won't change their career until they get fired. Some people won't change their behavior until they have to go to jail, right? Some people won't change until there's enough pain. Pain is powerful to promote transitions, to promote transitions to change and to new. And so pain could be the best option, or pain could be useful to help the person who's creating the pain to embrace separation. Um, it gives you room to actually work on the relationship. Stay with me because I'm going somewhere. It gives you room to actually work on the relationship. Some people get together and they never worked on the relationship. You like, what do you mean? How did they get married if they didn't work on the relationship? I'm talking about real work on the relationship. You can be excited about one another. You can love one another. You can care for one another before you get married. Um, you you can do a lot of things together, but never really work on the relationship. Yeah, a lot of people, they spend time talking about the weather. They spend time playing games. They spend time dating. They spend time making love, but they never spend time and energy working on the relationship. And when they get married, what they discover is that they really didn't develop deep roots of relationship. They also sometimes discover things that they never knew were there in the other person and even in them. And so those things come to the surface. And if you're going to resolve and heal and deal with the things that are creating deep disturbances within the marriage relationship, you might have to get a separation so you can back up from one another and almost kind of start over. Like, hey, we got to actually work on this relationship. We got to actually work on ourselves, which leads me to my final point. I want to talk about what should you do if you decide to separate. But before I do, I got something really cool I want to tell you about. I think it's going to bless you, help you really build the love life that you really want. You tired of getting that that achy feeling in your gut, that butterfly, nervous, oh my goodness, here we go again. When you and your partner, your spouse get into these arguments that you just can't seem to break out of. Are you tired of the eye rolling, maybe the door slamming, maybe just the separation, the distance, and it all feels so horrible? Listen, I want to help you build some skills. I want to help you not only build the skills, I want to help you understand what's actually happening in the dynamics of your relationship life so that you can build a better love life. Yes, it's the Build a Better Love Life challenge. I have been doing this with couples, and they are having an extraordinary breakthrough in their relationship lives after years of counseling, years of going through these crazy cycles time and again. They say we have never learned things like this. And I'm going to teach it to you in 5 sessions. That's right. 5 sessions, one session a night for 5 nights in a row. The Build a Better Love Life Challenge is going to help you get to the root and put the tools in your hand so you can have your relationship breakthrough. And if you come in, look forward to a whole new life in your love life. All right. I hope to see you in the Build a Better Love Life Challenge. Make sure you click on the link. Come on and join us because we're having an amazing time of relationship breakthroughs. All right. Hey, I hope you will join me for the Build a Better Love Life Challenge. Now, we've been talking about why separation could save your marriage. And I gave you some reasons why it could possibly be a great option, a helpful option. But let's talk about what you should do if you separate. Hmm, that's a whole session. Like we could talk all day about this. But what should you do? Because you can't just go to your separate corners and then think that somehow magically everything's going to get better and you can just come back together in 2 weeks and, it's all good. I mean, it'd be great if it's 2 weeks, it'd be great if it's one day, it'd be great if it's, a few hours. But typically, that is not the case. There are some things that you must do intentionally so that you can have the relationship you desire. Let me give you a couple of them. One is that you got to do some work on you. Yes, you. You're like, well, I didn't cause the madness. I didn't cause the pain. You might want to ask yourself, what was it about me that made me choose this relationship? What did I ignore? What did I have blind spots to? It's helpful to go make this a time that you work on you. Everybody needs some room to grow, some room to learn. And if you go through a time of separation, but you don't do any work on you, then you will have wasted an opportunity. You got to do some work on you. You got to demand that your spouse do some work on themselves. And, if your spouse was the one who was creating and wreaking havoc, then absolutely you got to demand that they do some work on themselves. They got to do some work, because if they don't do some work, but you did do some work and you come back together, you actually will have a more difficult time, because you will have a different mindset. You will have grown. You will have developed a healthier perspective about yourself and about marriage, and they'll be doing the same thing. And you'll be frustrated out of your mind. You got to demand, hey, if we're going to make this work, if we're going to sustain, if we're going to give our children and our grandchildren the blessing of a great marriage in our day and time from us, you got to go do some work. You got to tell them you got to do some work on yourself. That's so huge. When it's right, when it feels safe, I think you got to start dating again. Remember, we talked about you got to work on the relationship. I think it's helpful to start dating again, like once a week. This is really true when couples have gone through infidelity that I've been working with. I encourage them to build a dating life again together. Especially if they've been separated, it gives them room to start sort of putting their toe back in the water. You can actually begin to see from a little bit of a distance what kind of work each of you have been doing on yourselves. You can begin to see what patterns are showing up. And you need to see these new patterns over time, because anybody can act like they've been doing work for a little while. Come on, help me talk. Anybody can show up like a new person. But I tell people, you don't know how much work you've been doing until your spouse experiences a new you. You don't know how much work you've been doing until your spouse consistently experiences a new you. That people can tell you, I've been working on me, I'm better, I'm different. I've been doing this, I've been working with my coach, and you got to believe me that I'm a different person. Nobody cares about how new you think you are. Does the new you impact me consistently, positively? Does how you show up make me feel safer, better, more loved, more cherished, more cared for? Are y'all tracking with me? It doesn't matter how much I tell you I've changed. I'll know how much, you'll know how much they've changed. Am I getting this right? You'll know how much they changed based on how you experience them on a consistent basis. And never measure change in the space of a short time, because real change, real transformation needs different environments and experiences so that you can really see how real the change is. All right. So so date again and look for patterns. You got to develop a plan for the kids if you have kids, because the kids are going to be impacted by this. And when I'm working with couples who are separating, we talk about how to make this as less of an impact on the kids as possible, but it will impact the kids. But you need a plan for how you do that. You got to make that plan as you're talking about separation. Now, I'm talking about we're talking about the need for separation sometimes, but the truth is some of these separations, people don't act like mature people when they're separating. Did he just say that? Yeah, he said the whole thing. People don't act like mature people. They're not mature when there's a separation, because if you were mature, you probably wouldn't need to be talking about a separation. If you were emotionally mature, relationally mature, you can't do the thing until you become the person who can do the thing. Did I say that too fast? You cannot have a great marriage until you become the person who can instigate and participate in a great marriage. A lot of people want great marriages, but they don't want to become great people. Are you willing to do the work that will make you the person who can show up delivering what marriage is supposed to be? I like the framework that oftentimes I hear one of my mentors talk about. You got to be so you can do, then you can have. But if you try to have and try to do without becoming the right person, it's going to be a long, long journey. All right. Let me give you a couple more things you should do. You got to, as I mentioned this, you got to look for real change, look for real growth. But here are some things that you should look for. I'm going to give them to you rather quickly. One, you got to look for humility. Is there a consistent thread of humility? Because it takes, you got to humble yourself. When you go through a separation, like you got to come to terms with, okay, what did I contribute to what's not going well? And if a person has been more the instigator, right, they got to be humble enough to admit it, humble enough to accept and confess their role, and to apologize. There's got to be humility. There needs to be accountability because nobody gets better by ourselves. There's got to be some accountability. Okay, we established what the standards are, how we're going to function, how we're going to operate, what we're going to do to work on ourselves. Who's keeping us accountable so that we can stick to the plan? There's got to be responsibility. I mentioned that. But a lot of times people who are not doing well in their marriages struggle to just take responsibility. Like, hey, we're here because of what I did. We're here because of my part. I was the one who cheated, or I was the one who was wasting the money, or I was the one who was being mean and surly. I was the one who was making my spouse feel unloved and uncared for and unseen. I was the one who was actually gaslighting all the time, like it was them. By the way, people who are narcissistic almost never take responsibility. They will listen. Some people who are narcissistic will go to their grave blaming you. And if you see that kind of pattern, that should make you concerned. You want to see if they practice empathy. Huge. Look for empathy. Hey, I'm really sorry for what I created in this marriage. I'm really sorry for the environment that I established. I'm really sorry for how I made you feel unsafe. I don't want to make you feel unsafe. Is there empathy? I can't imagine what it was like for you living with me. How about that right there? Right? You want to look for patterns of empathy happening. Now, the separation shouldn't be forever. It should be for a time. And you'll need someone who can work with you to help you establish what that time can be. But I believe that separation can be a powerful opportunity for reconciliation. I had a dear friend who went through a painful separation years ago because of infidelity. And it was during that time that he came to his senses. He had to tell all of his kids about what happened because they were all adults at that point. But he and his wife reconciled. And they had a powerful reconciliation, a better marriage until the day that he lost her in a car accident. And when I went to the funeral, one of the things I heard him say was that the end of our marriage was so much greater than the early years of our marriage. And I'm telling you that separation can be powerful to heal your marriage. Hey, I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, give a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. I also want to encourage you, make sure that you download the Better Communication, Fewer Conflicts guide that I have provided for you. So if you just click on the link, you can download it. It's yours for free. I want to encourage your communication, because if you're going through some of the things that I described in this video, getting better at your communication will certainly help you. All right. Hey, it was good to be with you today. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Hey, let's get better in these cherished relationships, marriages, and life. See you soon.